It's visual, it's violent, and it's visceral. It's Infinity Pool, written and directed by Brandon Cronenberg, who's directed Antiviral and Possessor, and is the son of, wait for it, you might want to sit down for this because it's going to absolutely blow your mind. He's the son of David Cronenberg, who's directed Scanners, The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, Crimes of the Future, and many movies that certainly offer a lot of social commentary, a lot of weirdness, a lot of visceral imagery, a lot of really, really great practical effects and strangeness and everything. And one thing you can say about David Cronenberg, he will make movies his way, and Brandon Cronenberg following in his father's footsteps with his latest installment, Infinity Pool, that has Mia Goth, who I absolutely have loved for years. She has been great since the Suspiria remake. She was great in X. She was great in Pearl. She's fan-fucking-tastic. She's going to be a Maxine coming up soon. If you put Mia Goth's name on the marquee, I will absolutely be there. And Alexander Skarsgård, who's been great in so many movies, most recently The Northman that came out about a year ago and should have done so much better at the box office. He was fucking fantastic. Alexander Skarsgård turned in another great performance here. And also Cleopatra coming at you, Cleopatra Coleman, who is very goddamn lovely. Good grief, she is lovely. And various other people like Thomas Kretschmann and Amanda Brugel and a few other people that certainly turn in very, very interesting performances in this movie where Brandon Cronenberg has a message. And that message is he is going to assault you with imagery. He is going to assault you with some great social commentary. And he's going to make sure that if you want to watch this to the end, you are going to have to endure a lot of strange, wonderfully weird, wild shit. Full disclosure, I've never been the biggest David Cronenberg fan. In fact, I hated Crimes of the Future, even though I understood what it was trying to say. I don't think it necessarily got that message across all that well. But The Fly with Jeff Goldblum, Scanners, and a few others, when he hits it right, he can really hit the mark and do some great stuff. I wasn't the biggest fan of Possessor, but I understood what Brandon Cronenberg was trying to do, and he did a pretty good job here. And he's even said in interviews, people are like, well, your dad's such a great filmmaker, why don't you get in the film? And he got a little bit pissed off about that. Let me just say, Brandon Cronenberg, he's got the talent to do it. However long he wants to do it, it's his business. It's his life. Don't you forget, it's his life. It never, well, eventually it does end, but his filmography will live on in history for centuries and centuries. Enough song references. What is this movie about? It's almost 2 hours. It's about 2 hours. Ah ha ha ha. Ah ha ha ha. Okay, so some vacationers, very, very rich people, nah, 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 nah. Yes, they have all the money in the world, and they're wealthy men and girls, so there you go. Mia Goth and her significant other, they befriend Alexander Skarsgård and Cleopatra Coleman, and they say, hey, why don't you guys come with us and have a fun night of craziness and weirdness and everything and partying and all this. And they grow close despite the fact that you can clearly tell that these people are off their goddamn rockers and freaking nuts as goddamn, well, I don't know, a freaking tree full of acorns. I don't think a tree could actually be full of acorns and be an actual tree, but nevertheless, a strange incident happens, and then even stranger stuff happens, where you find out that, this weird resort that it was filmed in Croatia, very, very strange stuff starts happening, and really I'm trying to keep it as spoiler-free as possible, but let's just say the social commentary basically is ultra-rich people don't face consequences. They keep throwing money at it, and they keep laughing at the people that are beneath them. That's pretty much the most I got out of this. This is wild and weird and strange, and I'm not going to say the movie's without its faults. I think that there were a few... I think there was probably about 15 minutes they could have cut from this, even though I understand what they were trying to do. The practical effects, the figurative effects, the visceral imagery was very well done. Brandon Cronenberg hit the mark a lot better here than he did in Possessor, and I understand what Possessor was trying to do. I don't think it worked out as well as, it didn't work for me, but I understand why people liked it. And this is from Neon Studios. It is right below A24. I mean, A24 is way up here. Neon Studios, T-Tane and various other movies that I've really enjoyed. They're strange. Both those studios are willing to take chances on independent films and just throw a couple million at people and just say, hey, you go out and make this the way you want. We'll market it and we'll do well. And this will get some attention as far as critical acclaim for the special effects. I can't say that this movie will be for everybody. If you do have photosensitivity, if you are prone to any kind of epilepsy, do not watch this, because there are a lot of imagery, images like crazy images, flashing images and stuff like that from the very beginning and even throughout the film that are very, very strange and likely will cause those issues. But the movie ends up being there are moments where I think the movie just kind of folds back in on itself and gets a little bit, I don't want to say too preachy for its own good. I think it drags a couple times, but for like 90% of the goddamn movie, it really does excel. And this is one of the better Cronenberg movies I've seen in the last number of years. And yes, Brandon is going to be compared to his dad's work, even though while he does follow in the same vein, he has his own way of telling the story. Mia Goth is phenomenal in this. She is turning just great performance after great performance after great performance here. Her this is as close to her actual accent, and it's just very bizarre. It's just very bizarre to hear her like this when you see her like X and Pearl. And Pearl still, I think, probably her finest role. Alexander Skarsgård is great in this. And there's just so much weirdness and bizarreness and, like, again, the ultra rich treating people that are beneath them with like such disdain and everything, and using them for their own amusement and stuff like that. And yeah, it's a little bit crazy. And I meant to watch the other Neon Studio film, Triangle Sadness. I know that came out last year. I still need to catch up on that. But this was really well done, even if there are moments where I'm like, okay, that's a bit much, or okay, this could have been cut a little bit, and this is a little bit bizarre. Not exactly sure what the point of that scene going on so long was. But one thing for certain, Brandon Cronenberg's going to make the film his way. Is it going to make it at the box office? Probably not. When I went and watched it, I was the only person in there. Now, granted, it just came out, but I was like, okay, I figured at least a few people would watch this. Nope, that was not the case. It ended up being, however, one of the better films of the year. But if people watch this and they don't like it, I will totally understand. I will absolutely understand. I thought that there was a chance that I might hate this because of just how it assaults you with visceral imagery and everything. And even when I get into the spoiler section, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to totally describe what the fuck happened. But there's an amalgamation of a few cliches and strange moments, some of which we've kind of seen. And yeah, you kind of see where the movie's going, but then the movie goes in a completely different direction and just decides to take you on a twisty, topsy-turvy deal and everything. And you really just appreciate Mia Goth and Alexander Skarsgård and Cleopatra coming at you, Cleopatra Coleman. And there is one beauty in the cast I want to shout, Anita Major. Good grief, she's beautiful. And there are some good performances here, some strange moments, some very, very strange moments, and then some outright holy goddamn shit. They must have been on a copious amount of drugs to do this stuff. But the practical effects, the music, very well done. The twisty, topsy-turvy camera work. The nighttime scenes were well done. Everything was very, very well done. Again, even with the issues I have, some of the stuff needed to be trimmed down. Ends up being one of my, so far, one of my favorite films of the year. Yes, we're in January, but I'm bolstering the amount of movies I watch. So this was quite a bit of fun. Let's get into spoilers, though. It's in theaters. Check it out, because I don't think it's going to be in theaters for very long. Neon Studios knocking out of the park once again. So let's just get right into the spoilers here. 3, 2, 1. Spoilers. Okay, so the whole thing about, the social commentary throwing money at your whole deal, or, your problems, and that way they'll just go away. Okay, so one night, not in Bangkok because they're in Croatia, they hit a man right in the street after a time of partying and drinking and everything on the beach. And James, who is Alexander Skarsgård, is driving. And they say, don't worry, we'll take care of this. Just drive around the guy because we can't get caught. Now, mind you, they need to be in a gated resort. And they weren't told that they shouldn't be out there at night, even though they're in kind of a war-torn area. That being said, the next morning, James and Cleopatra coming at you. Sorry, I can't help but say that. If anybody gets that song reference, please let me know. They're taken to a prison. And this one guy offers James a deal. Say that this one guy did not give you his car to go out and drive, and we will create a double for you, and they will take your place in an execution, and then you're free to do what you want any old time. That is the actual offer. As long as you have the money, you can just do that. So he gets the money somehow, despite the fact he's an author and he hasn't published anything in a while. And they create this double, and one of the kids of the guy that was killed in the road, kills the James clone while they're watching this go on. How are the people not aware that the person behind them, does everybody just accept that there are clones of people and that there are body doubles? I have so many questions here. Where does everybody keep getting this goddamn money? Because it turns out Mia Goth and everybody in this particular inner circle, there are more people that have done these things, caused these issues, caused crimes, and they just keep throwing money at the whole thing and watching their clones die. And everybody just keeps watching their clones die. And then there's more debauchery and drugs and sex and everything. You get to see Mia Goth naked. That's a plus. She looks great. But Mia Goth is a tremendous actress and absolutely just bizarre and weird here. And Alexander Skarsgård's great. I know I've said that a lot. But I wanted to talk about this movie, and it's hard to describe it without watching it. It's just a very, very bizarre thing. Like, they do some stuff where they don some masks that were part of this, like, weird, like, fleshy type masks that were part of this party atmosphere a little bit earlier. Is really, really strange and weird. And they don those to go break into a place and steal a medal for a guy that doing architecture, because Mia Goth's significant other does architecture, and he wanted to get that or something. I don't really know what the hell was going on there. And they torture people, and then more clones are created because they just pay for that, and the clones pay for their crimes. And then James tries to escape after M decides to leave. He can't find his passport. Well, he's able to finally find his passport after a night of debauchery where he thinks that they captured a security guard or the possible prison guy that was doing, causing all the harm and preventing him from leaving. But nope, it's actually another clone. They paid to make another clone of him. He somehow didn't know this. And so they beat up this clone, and now he's so distraught over all this. After all the other stuff that happened, he is going to leave. But then the group gets together and stops him and everything, and then Mia Goth is berating him. And then they put him out in a field after they try to shoot him, because why not? He tries to run away, so they shoot him. Or she shoots him in the leg. Really long distance on that handgun, by the way, because he was at least a quarter mile ahead, or close to it. And then he's in a barn, and then he envisions, oh my God, the person whose body I hit, their son's here, so no, we need to do this. There's some weird practical spoopy makeup effects. And then there's another James clone that he has to beat up and destroy because he's got to get rid of this empathy. He's got to get rid of these feelings, this peaceful, easy feeling. He knows that this clone won't let him down because he's going to be bloody and laying there on the ground. Yeah, I can work some song references in for no reason. What ends up happening basically is after that, everything's fine. Everybody's going to go home. He calls M. He had found his passport a little bit earlier. It was stuck underneath the sink. Or toilet. Don't know how the hell he didn't find that before. Maybe you want to check that stuff. It's a hotel room. Not all that many places to hide, considering a lot of it's sterilized, even in Croatia. And everybody just leaves and James is fine. Or maybe he's not, and he's at the resort as a flood comes in because there's a torrential downpour. Very strange, very bizarre movie, very interesting. I can't say it's an A plus. I'm not gonna say an A. I'm gonna give it an A minus because I'm going to say that it hits most of the marks. Could end up being one of my favorite films of the year. If I continue to watch as much Drek as I have so far, it could end up being there. But yeah, we will see. We'll see what happens at the end of the year. That being said, Infinity Pool, quite good. Quite goddamn good. Not perfect, but quite good. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.